The following is rated not safe for work. It contains strong language, adult situations, and lots of spoilers. Discretion is advised.
In the criminal justice system, cinematic-based offenses are considered especially heinous. The dedicated attorneys who investigate these villainous films are members of an elite squad known as the Reels of Justice. These are their stories.
Odor, please, odor. The Reels of Justice, Hell on Reels, is now in possession. Grudge Big Bad Ben Haslar presiding. We will all please dies for the horrible Grudge Haslar.
Oh, God, that guy. I thought we sprayed for Scaretaker this year.
That might be the cleanest take we've ever gotten to the Scaretaker.
Yeah, it was really good.
Today, I don't know what you guys are talking about. He's obviously a talking demon right there.
That's why they call me Scare One Taker.
Oh, boo! Damn it, get him out of here.
Welcome to the Reels of Justice, Hell on Reels. Today we're hearing the case of The People versus Halloween Resurrection, a 2002 horror movie that follows a group of college students exploring the killer Michael Myers' childhood home, only to be attacked by the killer himself. For those of you unfamiliar with our spooky court proceedings, we're here to determine if this film is guilty of the sin of being a bad movie. And if so, it shall be cast for all eternity into the fiery pits of movie hell upon which this courthouse just so happens to be built. Mr. Marty Ketola, you are representing the prosecution. You may present your opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. And one day I will have a case against you at some point. You're the holdout.
Against a judge?
Yeah. Well, occasionally Mr. Haslar likes to be a lawyer sometimes. But anyways, I digress.
Actually, he's our most frequent lawyer, I believe.
Halloween Resurrection, the movie that drop-kicked its legacy into a pile of early 2000s cringe. Michael Myers may be silent, but Resurrection screams, what were they thinking? So by focusing on how Halloween Resurrection both hurt the franchise, misused reality television elements, and basically trashed H2O's emotional payoff, I will show the court that Halloween Resurrection is indeed a bad film.
Thank you, Mr. Ketola. Representing the defense is Mr. Maynard Bangs. Please present your opening statement.
Thank you, Your Honor. I had prepared a parody of Busta Rhymes' Break Your Neck for today, but I'm afraid it had already gotten me canceled before the recording even started.
Oh, damn.
Rightfully so.
Also, it's very hard to rap a cappella. I don't know how those freestylers do it. So, let me just say, I'm a fan of the Halloween franchise. I have seen every film a few times over, and I personally like Halloween Resurrection. I certainly don't think it deserves to be considered among the lowest rated. It's much more engaging than 5 or 6, which if you've ever done a complete watch through of the franchise, as I have several times, are total slogs to get through. It does much more to develop the lore and the world of this franchise than either of those two do in the first 15 minutes alone. I think this film deserves to be considered not guilty just for the Jamie Lee Curtis segment. I'm sure I will be able to get into why in further detail here today. And everything beyond this very critical turning point in the series is, frankly, gravy. Jaunty, kinetic, often funny gravy, with a cool concept to anchor it with the webcam stream that makes it stand out against other slashers of the time. I think too many people quickly dismiss it as the one with Busta Rhymes, and frankly, there's some undertones to that criticism oftentimes. We won't hear any of that today, I know, but we're just going to examine the facts of Busta's performance. But we have to accept a lot of people unfairly wrote off this movie just for featuring Busta Rhymes. A lot of people unfairly wrote this movie just for killing off Jamie Lee Curtis, especially so early in its runtime. But as I will touch on, this is a strength, not a weakness. And when you step back and you look at the entire series, especially some of the entries that have come more recently, Evil dies tonight, Evil dies
Evil
tonight.
dies tonight. Evil dies tonight.
It's so easy. Halloween Resurrection stands out as one of the more memorable and enjoyable watches in this marathon, and I think it deserves your reconsideration. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bangs. A question from the bench, though. Is it okay if I differentiate H2O as being the one with LL Cool J in it?
Yeah, well, it does have LL Cool J in it. I don't know if
All right,
that's
cool.
if it's it is the one with him.
As long as I'm in the right for it. Cool. Mr. Marty Ketola, please present your first exhibit.
Thank you very much. Back in the booth, I'm spitting the facts. Resurrection hit and the franchise collapsed. No, I'm not going to
Man, he really showed me. He did that easy.
We were
How
both
embarrassing for you,
thinking the
Maynard.
same thing.
All I know how to do is, my name is Ryan, and I'm here to say, and then that's it.
All right. Enough of that.
All right. So Halloween Resurrection is a bad film. The entirety of the internet knows it, and it's widely regarded as the worst of the Halloween franchise, and that's certainly saying something.
Objection, Halloween 6 does have a lower Rotten Tomato score.
Overruled because that has
I
not
didn't
been
even know
established
that.
in this courtroom.
I didn't even know there was a Halloween 6.
Halloween 6 is not on the trial today. The failure of Halloween Resurrection was so impactful that the franchise needed a reboot several years later just to fix the damage. I mean, this film was released in July. July! For a Halloween movie? Even the studio knew it was bad. Okay, here's a
Worked for Die Hard.
recommendation. No more entries about the Myers house or Dr. Loomis or Laurie, which is what this tried to set up, but instead it just buried the franchise for 5 more years. It had the potential to break out, but instead it stopped the very thing it was trying to perpetuate, which was the series itself. We just end up with this 67-minute long movie, if you cut the credits and the Laurie portion out, full of instantly forgettable characters that can't even figure out the tone of the film that they are in.
Mr. Bangs, I believe you said the Jamie Lee Curtis thing was a strength of this film.
Absolutely. If we want to get into that segment first, but we'll. First, I want to say, as far as this movie making the franchise reboot, H2O was already a reboot that the series had already had. So the series had already identified.
I believe it was a requel.
It is a requel, but that means it restart, right? It undid the death of Laurie Strode from Halloween 4, where she dies in a car accident. So
Yes, but
as
kept
far
that
as-
she was his sister.
Right. It kind of changes the direction of the whole series anyway. So the series had already made some different turns, and this is already one of multiple timelines that existed at this point.
Mm-hmm. It's a complicated diagram of timelines if you look it up on Google image search.
But as far as Marty said, 67 minutes, right? It's jaunty, it's quick, it moves at a clip. You get that nice, satisfying 15 to 20 minute chunk of Laurie in the beginning, and then you get a whole bunch of stabbing.
Cool. Mr. Ketola, would you like to continue?
Is anybody seeing this? Is what a character asks at one point in the film. No, it's too dark. We can't see anything. The technical gimmicks in this, they don't serve the story. They only tend to distract and make it much harder to stay engaged with everything. This attempt to be modern, it really puts the movie trapped in amber. It's the reality show setup of the webcams in Myers' house. It was trying to be modern in 2002. It's like the movie forgot what made Michael Myers scary. I mean, suddenly he's less a boogeyman and more of a boss fight. All the shaky cam, grainy footage, and split screens do is just break the tension up instead of building it, which results in no atmosphere. It's just confusing. And also, this is not how reality TV works. I mean, this movie was made in the golden age of reality TV when the public really had no idea how reality TV worked. So a film like this is a perfect example of the magical thinking nature of how shows are made. You don't go into a reality show situation like this without knowing that it's all fixed. The scares can be real, but the outcome is predetermined. So in the last 30 minutes, the remaining cast suddenly realized that this is all made up. It's just such bad, uninspired writing.
Mr. Bangs, why didn't they vote Myers off the island?
Well, of course, this isn't reality TV. It's a reality web series. So it is actually, not related to any TV studio at all. And I think it's honestly very fresh, that idea. It could have been its own standalone movie outside of this franchise where you could drop any killer stalking these kids in this house. And the idea that there's this external audience that's watching it along, who's kind of the proxy for us, the audience. It allows us to cut to them over and over, brings levity to the proceedings. They can make jokes, and it allows the scenes to kind of breathe. And like I say, it's jaunty. It's a lighthearted. It's definitely not meant to be super tense and thrilling. That's why we keep cutting to a guy who's dressed up as Jules Winfield from Pulp Fiction. But I think this concept is ahead of its time. There were a few TV shows that I don't know that they actually think everything was set up. I think often of MTV's Fear, which if anyone out there hasn't seen it, check it out on YouTube. It's amazing entertainment concept for reality television. They strap cameras to young and often attractive youth and send them into a dark place, fill their heads with ghost stories, and just let them wander around in the dark, scaring the shit out of themselves. And they're probably helping a bit along the way. Now, I'm sure all the scares in that show were pre-set up, but I highly doubt that all the participants knew that, because they were paid money if they survived till the end. And at least half the contestants do quit that show. So there's definitely some concept of reality TV where the participants don't know everything going on. Now, the other reason this is kind of ahead of the time is, YouTube wouldn't even be founded till 2005. In 2002, we were just starting to get the ability to do real-time streaming because of bandwidth and latency. So this idea of this live web show, what I really like is that you can choose which participant you watch. This required Busta Rhymes to have some very serious equipment, especially on the server side, to make this happen. So what we're talking about here is a black entrepreneurs, really, if you count Tyra Banks, and why wouldn't I? A pair of intrepid black entrepreneurs on the front lines of online entertainment who would pave the way for how we consume media now.
It may be a bit ahead of its time, Mr. Ketola. Do you have a rebuttal to
that? Was it ahead of its time, or was it, just ahead of good taste? It just kind of killed the mood faster than Michael ever could. My thoughts, I don't know.
It was the first victim. You may continue, Mr. Ketola, if you have further exhibits.
Oh yeah, so my third exhibit, and it's so funny that here I am for my third solo case, my third time against Maynard, and I had a feeling it would be him again.
You shouldn't have attacked Halloween.
He loves you.
Nobody else wanted to defend this movie but me. I'm like, Halloween.
You did a J-horror and be that Ben Haslar guy or so you wanted to go against.
I think it's going to make for the most perfect case, because my third exhibit is the first 16 minutes are the main point of contention. The first 16 minutes are why this movie is guilty just by itself. So let me break it down here. So H2O gave Laurie Strode closure. She kills Michael, overcoming 20 years of trauma. Resurrection retcons this with the paramedic switch twist, which invalidates H2O's ending. It's kind of like hitting an undo button for the last 20 minutes. But then when you start to think about it a little further, you realize this is a terrible device to bring Michael back. Michael would not crush someone's larynx, put tape on their mouth, tie them up, put his mask on him, and then escape. This is completely out of character, and it makes no sense, much like Busta Rhymes' internet setup, right? It doesn't make any sense.
He's an entrepreneur!
Why does Michael need to escape? Who's going to catch him? Nobody. They just didn't care. Michael's not suddenly going to decide, well, now's the right time to disguise someone else as me and escape. That's just not how these films work. If you're in front of Michael, he kills you. You may be able to distract him a bit, but he will kill you. He won't tie you up and put tape on your mouth and then put his mask on you and escape from police that would not have been able to capture him. And to make matters worse, apparently Michael just so happened to be where the ambulance crashed and pinned the paramedic. Don't mind that this movie showed you Michael leaving the scene, because Michael was clearly off in the distance watching Laurie chop off the paramedic's head, because Michael's doing the fake-out maneuver, grabbing at his own head when she catches him. How would he know to do that unless he was there watching? You see, they just didn't care. And then Michael gifts his knife to the guy in the asylum. Once again, completely out of character. Even Rob Zombie got that part right. So for the first 16 minutes alone, you must declare this film guilty, because it doesn't make any sense.
Mr. Bangs, was there another Myers just above the grassy knoll?
Yeah, as far as how he got there to grab the mask, we do see he literally watches the ambulance take off. There's some police cars right in front of him. Nothing to say that he couldn't get into the car and follow from a distance. Also, I'd say as far as Michael doesn't plan, there's the majority of Halloween movies, Michael drives. He steals cars. He goes across state lines. He stalks people. Michael Myers is not Jason Voorhees. He's not a mindless zombie. He's way more cerebral in planning than people.
Is he
give him
Hannibal
credit
Lecter,
for.
though?
No, not necessarily, but I don't think it's implausible. So we'll buckle in, and because I think the first 16 minutes is why this movie is not guilty. And one of the magic words that Marty used was retcon. And unfortunately, Marty, that is not the case. You see,
I didn't say retcon. I think
you
Ben
said
retcon.
play back the tape. The word was retcon. I heard it because I needed to grab onto it because it's such an important word. The retcon
of H2O, yeah.
The retcon of H2O, but it isn't, unfortunately. During the production of H2O, Jamie Lee Curtis wanted to end the series, and producer Mustafa Akkad would not allow his cash cow Michael Myers to be killed. So there was a lot of conflict. Jamie almost didn't do H2O. So Kevin Williamson proposed the idea that Myers switches with a paramedic in the very final scene, so there would seem to be a final moment for Laurie, but Michael could still return. But Curtis insisted nothing in the film could tease this was really the case. So the point is, the footage of Michael as a paramedic was filmed one day after the principal photography of H2O ended. This was always the plan. And to be honest, it raises up H2O in my esteem. I watched it back a few years ago, and I hated everything that happened to the last 10 minutes because it didn't seem like things that Michael would do. And that's because I forgot this detail from Resurrection until this trial. And now it smooths the whole ending over to me. I went back and rewatched it today, and the switch is done off camera. You don't see this attack, but the actions of the man in the mask don't contradict this twist. He wakes up in a body bag. In the ambulance when it's already moving, right? So Laurie's already taken him. He unzips himself. He tries to get up. Laurie sees this in the rearview mirror, and before he can do anything, before he's even barely up, she jams on the brakes and he goes flying, whoop, out the windshield. He then sits up a bit creepy-like, but he's had his larynx crushed and he's been thrown out a windshield, so he's having a bad day. He stands up because he's one tough-ass paramedic. Laurie immediately hits him with the ambulance.
Yeah,
he's
a really tough paramedic.
He is. Got that. They don't make him like that anymore. Laurie hits him with the ambulance. They go tumbling down a hill. He gets pinned between a downed tree and the ambulance.
Michael's watching all this too, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Well, Michael is at least watching in this next moment. Now, this is what I like. Laurie gets up, axe in hand, and she calls to him, Michael. And his immediate reaction is panic. He starts touching and feeling his face and realizes the mask is on him. He's not Michael Myers, but now he gets it. She thinks he is. He claws at the mask, scrambling to try to get it off, which bugged me during my first watch. Like, why the hell is he trying to take his mask off? Michael wouldn't do that. But now it makes sense. Then, because he can't speak, he reaches out to Laurie for help or for mercy, which is, again, something that didn't make any sense for Michael to do, but it makes perfect sense for a paramedic in a case of mistaken identity. Laurie feels a bit of sympathy almost, but then she snaps out of it and cuts his head off. So nothing we see in the final moments contradicts the idea that this switch happened. It was not tacked on. It was not retconning the prior ending. It was baked in from the very beginning, and to me that improves the ending of H2O as is and makes Resurrection required viewing in this timeline, because without Resurrection the ending of H2O does not make sense as is.
I'd like to hear a rebuttal from that from the prosecution.
Yes, Your Honor. Yeah, I read that Wikipedia article too. Just because it's on Wikipedia doesn't mean that's true.
It's direct, pulled from direct interviews from filmmakers.
I'll allow it.
It's a nice way to make it sound like, oh yeah, we knew what we were doing, but they really didn't, because why does Michael have to escape and trick as somebody else in the first place? Did Michael know he was going to get pinned and get his head cut off? It really just doesn't make any sense why Michael would suddenly decide to just leave at that moment in H2O. And H2O, who is not on trial today, that is a great ending. She chops his head off. The end. It's over. He's not coming back. We're done.
Not with the panic and the fear he shows. I don't think so. I like.
Is this still something Michael would do,
Michael Myers thing either.
Mr. Bangs, though, is this still something Michael would do, like doing the mask switch? Is this still in character for him, do you think?
I mean, we've seen him put on a sheet and pretend to be Bob. Like I said, he's stolen cars. He's not a mindless brute. He does
He's
know
never
how to
taken
calculate.
hostages. Yeah.
He hasn't taken hostages yet. Maybe he didn't need to. The point is,
Maybe
it's
he's
not
clairvoyant.
impossible.
Why did he need to? Why
The
did he
man
need to
had a
escape?
plan B. The
Yeah,
thing
plan
is,
B.
the thing is, when he does the paramedic switch, it's not an earlier point in the film. He doesn't have this guy stashed for hours. This is after Laurie stabs him and he falls through the banister, Your Honor, and he slams into the table, and she's about to come and stab him again, and LL Cool J pulls her off and says, "He's dead, he's dead, he's dead." And then we cut to all the normal police cars are all outside. It happens in between then. A paramedic comes up, finds Michael's body on the broken table, and that's when Michael grabs him and makes the switch. Because I rewatched, I was like, when did he get this paramedic? And you can see, because the principal filming was started the very next day, they're in the same school, he's on the table there. That's when it happens. It's literally right when the paramedics finally show up at the end. First guy on the scene, he grabs him, crushes him, puts him in the body bag, and disappears somewhere else. So it's not like a plan he was putting in before. He's already been kind of defeated by Laurie. Now he needs to get away right now, and he does the switcheroo.
Well, it's a good thing he did, because we wouldn't have gotten this movie about webcams in the Myers house.
Exactly.
So entertaining. Yeah.
Right.
Mr. Ketola, did you have any
knew where they were going after that? Yeah.
Did you have any further exhibits?
Me? No, that was my third and final exhibit for the case.
Very good, sir. Mr. Bangs, you may present your first exhibit.
Thank you, Your Honor. To me, the greatest strength of this film is that first 15-minute segment. Not only is it the best part of the movie, it is one of the strongest segments in the entire series. A proper and fitting end to Laurie Strode. Obviously, this series has fractured timelines all over the place because of reboots and requels, but I prefer this end to Laurie over her dying in a car crash off camera like we find in 4, or whatever the fuck happened at the end of Halloween Ends. I don't remember. I did very much like the ending of the 2018 reboot, where she's a prepper and has been waiting for Michael her whole life, ready to take down the boogeyman. And where is that idea first explored? Halloween Resurrection. In H2O, Laurie is a headmistress of a school. She's changed her name. She's living in hiding. She kind of lives in fear, but for the most part, she's not expecting Michael to return and find her like he does. She is not ready. She fights valiantly and survives, but the point is she was playing defense. She was thinking on her toes. This was not a plan. She was just sort of acting on impulse. Now, in Halloween Resurrection, we see a different kind of Laurie Strode for the first time. Different than we have ever seen before. One we'd not see again until the 2018 reboot. A ready Laurie. She knows Michael is coming. She's been avoiding taking her medication for some period of time. She at least probably knows he'll mostly attack her on Halloween, right? So she doesn't
have teddy
always...
bear's worth of medication. Yeah.
Hey, a Raggedy Ann doll's worth of medication, which is a callback to the Raggedy Ann she had as a child in the 1978 movie. Now, she knows Michael's coming, like I said, and she has a plan in the works for when and if the day should come. This is the arc Laurie Strode needed and had not gotten until this film, our defendant here today, a self-actualized Laurie. No longer a victim, no longer a scared little girl. I am not afraid, she says. This is Laurie at her strongest. You want a female role model? Here she is. She has come full circle. All of her experiences hardened her for this moment. And it comes here in the first 15 minutes of Halloween Resurrection. And if you do a complete watch-through of this franchise, this opening segment will absolutely stand out in your mind as a high point in the series. And we don't just get this one cathartic moment of Laurie no longer being a victim. We get the shock of Laurie's death. And finally, a death at Michael's hands, not a dumb car crash off screen. First off, it's a complete shocker because I don't think audiences expected the filmmakers to kill off a big star like Curtis or a main character like Laurie. So at the time of release, this would have been a surprise. A huge gasp from the audience, like when they killed De Niro halfway through 15 minutes. It subverts expectations. And I like how the death happens. First, compare the scene where Laurie is talking to who she assumes is Michael at the end of H2O, and the prominent thing in quote-unquote Michael's eyes. They bulge with fear. They almost plea for mercy. They're completely human. And now we know why. It's not Michael. Contrast to this scene where Michael, the real Michael, is hanging upside down on the roof. And during the scene, you cannot see his eyes. The darkness has his eye holes cast in shadow. They're just two black holes visible in his mask, a void where a man's eyes should be. But as Laurie's about to deliver the coup de grace, what does Michael do? He reaches for his mask. He claws at his mask as if he means to take it off, as if she somehow made the mistake again, and this introduces just enough doubt in her mind. Is she going to kill an innocent man again? She did it once before, so she says she has to be sure. She reaches to take the mask off, what she maybe should have done at the end of H2O. She corrects that mistake, and it turns out to be a fatal error of another kind as Michael grabs her, confirming he's the real one. The rope snaps and they both fall together, and Michael is able to stab her with the apropos kitchen knife, the only ending that could be fit for Laurie. Michael finally succeeds in penetrating her. We know the knife has long been a phallic symbol in films like this, and Halloween especially. It's always been about that penetration. Honestly, regardless of what happens in the next hour or so of this film, the first 15 minutes of this movie is enough to make it not guilty, in my opinion.
Mr. Ketola, I'd like to hear a rebuttal from this. Does the Jamie Lee Curtis scene stand out as a good thing?
I think she's stronger in H2O because she kills the bad guy and she lives and she gets through the trauma instead of just kind of dying very quickly, like and uneventfully, like happens in this one. But I will agree that it is funny how these franchises go along, that they're always responsible for the ones that come after. And so this bad movie, Halloween Resurrection, is responsible for the bad movies that came out in 2018 in Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends, because they're basically doing
objection. Halloween Kills is a good one. It's the second highest rated in the whole series.
No, it was found guilty in this courtroom.
2018.
It was found guilty in this courtroom.
The 2018 one?
Oh no, not the 18.
Yeah, we didn't find the 2018 reboot guilty.
Well, how could you? It's about podcasters.
We
would be turning on ourselves if
we will. Okay.
2018 Halloween is about podcasters, right? Who don't know how to point their mic.
Yes,
Michael.
it is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right.
Couple. I think it's mostly about Laurie turning her house into a trap for Michael and killing him, which was dope.
Why did she just move? Anyway, that's
she did move in H2O.
Order in my court. Order in my court.
Different timeline.
Shut that guy up. Mr. Bangs, please present your next exhibit.
Well, I would like to mention, talking about how little Jamie has time. I mean, with Jamie Lee Curtis, less is more. In her Academy Award-winning performance in Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, she's only in 17 minutes of the movie, which is about 12% of the film's total runtime, which makes her about the third shortest performance for a supporting actress to get a nomination.
Shorter than Short Round?
He was in much more of the movie. Much more of the movie than Jamie Lee Curtis was. You can almost...
Judi Dench? Who's that number one?
Judi Dench is the shortest for Shakespeare in Love at about 6 minutes. And then the next
one is from Network.
Celeste Holm from Gentleman's Agreement, I think, is 15 minutes. Is number 3. But there's
someone from Network that only does one scene.
It depends if they were... This was for... supporting actresses in Best Picture winning films.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
gotcha.
So the point is,
I still knew it though. So
yes. But so the point is, less is more when it comes to Jamie Lee Curtis. It turns out, because that's how she wins awards.
And Wheels of Justice,
right?
Oh.
And now I'd like to go to Busta Rhymes. Now, after H2O, the filmmakers enjoyed working with LL Cool J, who was too expensive, I guess, to come back. But they felt they still wanted to work with another rapper. They had a good time, and they thought it would increase appeal with black audiences. And Busta Rhymes was available. Plus, I think if you had to pick a rapper that could throw hands with Michael Myers, Busta has to be up there on your list. I mean, he's 6'1", he's like 230, 240. The guy can throw a punch, He's up there as far as height goes. Snoop Dogg is a bit taller, but he lacks the muscle. And his attitude's too laid back, right? Snoop Dogg's like 6'3", but he would get killed so quick. Murder would be
Snoop Dogg in this.
Murder would be the case that Mike
scrappy.
gave him. Right. Now, Busta obviously is trained in martial arts in this film. We see him watching the Shaw Brothers film The Duel, a.k.a. Duel of the Iron Fist, coming to a Kung Fu Christmas near you.
Oh, boy.
And now, some people don't like that he goes toe-to-toe with Michael. Now, he doesn't beat Michael to death. He's able to kind of defend and then kick him out a window, which I think with his strength and his reach, especially in his legs, is accomplishable. And then later when they go toe-to-toe, he gets his ass kicked. And Michael's about to kill him, but he manages to electrocute him in the final moment. You know, that's a case of being resourceful, great for a black entrepreneur. And maybe they wanted to keep him alive for a sequel. So I just think that the criticism of Busta Rhymes, it's unfair. He had already had parts in other movies, Narc, Finding Forrester, Shaft, all positively rated films. So the participation of Busta Rhymes in a movie does not instantly disqualify it from being good. And he was still just starting out in his acting career. He had to see if he liked it. I think he did have fun, but obviously a lot of people did not appreciate him just existing. Yeah, at all. But for me, I generally like Freddie. I don't know that I wish he was the one who did the final kind of death blow to Michael, but I like Freddie as a character, and I'm glad he survives.
Trick or treat, Marty Ketola. What do you think of that exhibit?
Well, my rebuttal is just to the first part. I don't really have anything to say about Busta Rhymes. He wasn't part of my exhibit, so I'm going to just move on past that. I'm going to talk about how how less is more for Jamie Lee Curtis. Now, you mentioned that she didn't want this movie to happen. She wanted H2O to be the ending, and then they had to tell her, like, look, you have contractually, he has to come back, which kind of makes you feel like maybe she didn't even really want to do this movie, and it's like, I'll just hurry up and kill me off real quick. Yeah, probably. So, you know, yeah.
Yeah,
so
I don't think very much of Jamie Lee Curtis. I am in the camp of her being a Nepo baby. And if she wasn't the child of who she was a child of, she would not have the career that she has. But, so that's that. And so the fact that she wants to get killed out of probably her most successful franchise proves that she doesn't know very much, does she? But,
so does Harrison Ford out of Star Wars.
But the one scene I think that she has in here, you know, that 15 minutes, she does a good job as Stone Cold Laurie Strode. So maybe she just doesn't know what of her work is good and what isn't.
All right. So are you going to send us on home with another exhibit?
Sure. Let's talk about some of the alternate endings because, you know, I didn't know if the endings would get brought up. And there are some alternate endings, which I think probably would have been cool to keep in the movie. There's one where, you know, Miles, the computer guy, actually gets to meet Sarah and actually comes saves her. But unfortunately, I'm not sure he actually would have been able to drive and make it in all that time. So I think there's a reason why that didn't get kept. There's also a deleted scene where we actually get to see Tyra Banks die. Let me tell you something. They did her a real favor cutting that. They really did. Acting dying is not something everyone can do, and Tyra is one of those people. But very lovely when she's alive. And I think that probably the most known alternate ending, and I wish they had kept this in the movie rather than the one they went with, is Busta and Sarah are looking over Michael's charred remains on the stretcher at the end. So everything else still happens. But Michael reaches up and grabs Busta. And Sarah gets the opportunity to play hero and slam an axe into Michael's face. And I think this is the best one. It allows Sarah to be kind of self-actualized and actually do something as the final girl. And I think the only reason they cut it is, again, Mustafa Akkad did not want Michael Myers dying. And an axe to the face seems like it would probably be pretty final. So we got the ending that we did get so that they could make more movies. And that is what.
How did that go?
Is. Well, we did make more movies. We made Rob Zombie ones, and we made plenty.
Not in this continuity.
Yeah, this continuity went right after this. Yeah.
Well, who knows? It could come back. Maybe one day someone will make a sequel to, and this follows just up H2O and Resurrection.
God.
So what would be the term for a film that has a sequel after requels have been done?
A re-sequel.
Oh my God.
A re-seedquel? We'll have to mull on that.
Mull it over.
And you rest on that point?
Your Honor. Yes, sir.
All right. Both sides have rested their cases. The attorneys
Can I do my quick little rebuttal to his last thing? It is quick. wasn't there another alternate ending where Michael got up and killed a bunch of the firefighters who were there? Oh, wait a minute. They did that in another movie. Okay, go on.
Scene is so good, too. Man, I love that scene, Halloween Kills, where Michael
It
fucks
feels
up all
like it
those
came from this,
firefighters.
right? Yeah.
Oh, that shit is so good.
Because he learned kung fu from Busta Rhymes.
That would be awesome.
Well, the multiverse
There actually is a scene where
here.
they follow him, like he reaches up and scares a firefighter and then collapses into ash. But that's another one of the alternate endings.
Why didn't you mention that one? That one's cool.
They wanted to do well. Again, it's a very final death. They had played with the idea of doing something like Clue, where they would send out different endings to this to other theaters, and it never really took off.
I can see why.
It didn't
both
even work
sides
for
of rest.
Clue.
I love it in Clue.
Let's listen to the judgment now. Both sides have rested their cases. The attorneys will now present their closing arguments. Mr. Ketola, you may begin.
Okay, so Halloween series has a lot of different cluttered up, confusing timelines. And this movie is the fourth installment in the timeline that goes Halloween, Halloween 2, 1981, and H2O, and then this one, Halloween Resurrection. So, following that timeline, how does Michael have eyeballs? Michael got both of his eyeballs shot out at the end of part 2, but that makes H2O not make any sense. You see, they just didn't care. So does that mean that wasn't Michael at the end, burnt up on the stretcher because you could see his eyeballs? Did they play the switcheroo again? We'll never know until they make the sequel to Halloween Resurrection.
Yes, coming.
The re-sequel, damn it.
A reboot quill?
It's something. We'll workshop it.
I'm gonna
Mr.
call it a
Bangs,
reboot quill.
please present your closing argument.
Speaking of Halloween 2, Resurrection was directed by the same director as Halloween 2. Ryan will
true.
tell us his name.
Rick Rosenthal.
Thank you so much, Ryan. Now, we've had a lot of fun here today, Your Honor. So why should we stop now? Here's Maynard Banks' top 5 rappers who should have killed Michael Myers in Halloween Resurrection in no
Christ.
particular order.
Oh, God.
Number 1, Ice Cube. He's already proven he can handle anacondas and ghosts of Mars with ease. So frankly, Michael Myers is light work. Cube can just bust a couple caps in his Frankenstein-looking ass, roll up a blunt, and call it a good day. Number 2, Eminem. Michael Myers thinks he's a psycho? You don't want to fuck with Shady. Slim kicks down the door. Rin, rin, rin! Texas Chainsaw left his brains all dangling from his neck while his head barely hangs on. And then he'll write a song where he cries about it. Number 3, Flava Flav! Flava slaps Mikey upside the head with a big-ass clock. No, bigger than that. No, even bigger than that. Right now, you're picturing one that's too small.
No!
Ask yourself, could God craft a clock so big that not even he could wear it? That's the one Flava clocks him with. Working title, Fear of a Clock Planet.
Clocks him with, I like it.
Oh, Jesus.
Gonna get his clock cleaned. 4, the entire Wu-Tang Clan. Yeah, even you, God. No Capadonna, though, he's just featured. The clan brings the motherfucking ruckus and covers Mike in Shaolin Killer Bees. As the shape struggles, he crucially forgets to protect his neck. And wham, Bash rules everything around him. Dollar dollar kill, y'all. 5, P. Diddy. Yeah, okay. It might not kill Michael, but he's gonna wish it had.
Oh,
Thank you, Your
not
Honor.
in 2002.
Oh, what? You think he wasn't doing it then? Oh, he's just super innocent back then. That was before.
He ended strong. Thank you all, members of the jury, Mr. Dylan J. Schlender, Mr. Big Ben Haslar, and Mr. Yahoo Chat Rooms Don't Count Ryan Luis Rodriguez. You have all heard the spooky facts concerning this case. It is now up to you to determine if this film is guilty of the sin of being a bad movie, and will therefore be condemned into the depths of movie hell. The Scaretaker will escort you to the deliberation room to render your verdict.
Right this way. You know, I think my favorite rapper is, my mummy.
It would be.
Getting lots of clean takes today. Very
It
nice.
is. It's going to be a long hell on wheels season.
Okay, guys. What are we thinking? Dylan, you were uncharacteristically quiet this entire time. Why don't you tell us what you're
seething
feeling?
with rage the entire time.
Okay, well, tell us why,
All
buddy.
right. No, the Halloween movies are... it is a complicated timeline thing, trying to piece it together, and you do need to know a bit of the history going into Resurrection. So I'm actually glad that both lawyers actually filled us in on some of that history, because I was not as intimate with it.
Are you talking about the Myers swap piece of it, or?
Well, I mean, yeah, that part of it too, but just like how it fits in the timeline, you know. So I think there was some good information in there, because I have not seen. I don't think I've seen either the H2O or this one since like they first came out.
Yeah, this was my first time seeing either one.
And I do remember seeing Resurrection in the theaters though, and it was shocking when Laurie Strode died. I was like, oh wow, you know, I was like, that's pretty intense. But then, you know, I was also kind of wondering at the time, like, well, is she gonna come back to?
No, I was thinking this is a Drew Barrymore. Wes Craven did it first in Scream.
Well, yeah, and I mean, so the both cases, surprisingly, they really want to hang their hat on the first 15 minutes. That's really what a lot of the conversation was about. And then, of course, like the history of the franchise and kind of where to plug this in. Mm-hmm. I'm inclined to agree that I think Halloween Resurrection is better than any of the 2018 and up ones that we've gotten.
Oh no, I think 2018 is better, but that's
it's pretty awful.
But it may be.
It will have its day in court, I suppose. But yeah, I think it's pretty poor. But the entertaining parts of this movie, I really thought came like after that 15 minutes. So if we have to weigh the 15 minutes, and that's going to be what decides the case, you know, that's pretty tough for me, because they both made really good points about it. So, you know, a lot of the stuff that I really enjoyed about the movie wasn't really attacked, and by definition didn't have to be defended either. You know, well, so that's kind of where I'm at. What are you thinking, Big Ben?
I agree with you that the first 15 minutes are the most interesting, but the problem with...
Well, I didn't say that. They said that.
Well, no. Oh, okay. I agree with them then. But the problem is, like, the movie doesn't give me that stuff that they talked about. That Wikipedia article that they referred to, I didn't read it. So I did not get that. I did not understand that Michael swapped things. If that were spelled out for me, I might be thinking it's a bit more interesting. I might have been a bit more involved. But yeah, H2O sucked because of that ending. And then Resurrection sucks because they're just like, as I think Marty said, like redoing the furniture or something like that. It's just like, let's click undo a million times. Just like those Thor movies, you know, it's just like, we're going to end one way with a cliffhanger. And then, oh no, we're going to spend the first 30 minutes redoing everything to tell the story we actually have to tell this time.
I think you could make the argument that it is set up at the end, but to Marty's
it's not
point,
clear. I didn't get it.
Well, no, I think you can, because I actually remember H2O in real time thinking like, man, Michael's not really, like, why is he like reaching out? Like, it was kind of weird the way he was acting. So if that was
but Michael's not acting like Michael throughout that whole movie. He's like, his hair's all fuzzy.
That's what I was saying. I agree with Marty though. I don't think he sets up a paramedic to be a decoy. And how does he get there in time to see him die? You know, like, so, like, if he's setting it up just to escape, then just escape. But like, why would he follow them? You know, so
and the film needs to show it either way, though. I mean, the film needs to show like Myers still alive.
Look,
especially if they filmed it in post photography or whatever, then give that to me in Resurrection, and they didn't.
Well, though they showed you in Resurrection the whole thing, how it all broke down. But
no, not the Myers swap part. They just like show the oh, I killed a paramedic. Oh shit.
No, they show how Myers did it, how he beats him up and then puts him in the body bag. That's a movie.
It didn't stick with me.
I mean, but it is there. I mean, it's attenuated as hell, but it is there. Ryan, what are you thinking, man?
Well, the first note that I wrote down here is, what is this internet that you speak of with all the fucking webcams?
Ahead of its time.
2002 bullshit. I mean, yeah, most of this case seemed to hinge on the first 15 minutes, which is very unusual for us. Usually we cover a lot more than that. But the strange thing is that everything Marty said is right. And I also like Maynard's interpretation of the events. Even though I think it's stupid no matter how you craft it, at least that take was interesting. But, I mean, this movie, thank God it was only 89 minutes long. Because I was feeling it 5 minutes in.
Defenders would
I was
say.
so restless. I was like, they've rebooted this franchise 3 times, and now I know why. I fucking hate this. Please let it end. I gave it a gentleman's 2.
Oh wow.
But you know, because every crappy franchise has a resurrection in there somewhere. And I was amazed though that this was the same director of Halloween 2, because it's shot so artlessly. It's so kind of anti-cinematic, and I could tell that it was Canadian because Katie Sackhoff, who plays Starbuck in Battlestar Galactica, is in the cast. And anytime she shows up in a movie, it was shot in Canada. So, guys, let's start locking it in. Ben?
Yeah, no, I also agree that everything Marty said was right. We are like, while the first 15 minutes are interesting, you can kind of go either way with it, but we are left with the rest of the film, which does not work at all. It had some interesting ideas that may have been ahead of its time, but the technical gimmicks, it just doesn't work. I too was
ugly,
thinking
though.
cringy.
That's the biggest
It's
problem
ugly.
for
It's
me.
cringy.
And that is
people
something
were-
Marty pointed out in like his first exhibit.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just too
Halloween
dark to
was
say
one of the
anything
first cinematic-looking movie horror movie franchises, like the Panaglide.
And it doesn't follow the
way
line.
that Carpenter shot. He was so efficient and so
Yeah,
economical.
Michael feels like a
and
presence
so
in that first
beautiful.
movie.
Those movies look amazing. And then you cut to Resurrection. It's like, who the fuck shot this? I don't get it.
So yeah, first 15 minutes interesting, but I come down on hating it. The rest of the film also hate it. Guilty.
Okay, Dylan.
All right. I think I'm in the camp where I do enjoy this movie, and when we're looking at the cases, I don't think I heard enough to get it all the way to guilty today. So I'm actually gonna go not guilty because I just don't think there was enough meat on the bone to send this one to hell.
You're the one that's supposed to be the mean one.
Yeah, I know, but I also am a stickler for a really good case. And both sides wanted us to weigh the first 15 minutes, and I think those worked out well, and I think that we were given proper context.
Do you like
that's
Laurie
properly
Strode dying that way before like?
It's not so much that I like. It's not what me liking it is immaterial. I mean, I don't hate it, that's for sure. But I think the way it was presented in court, I think it was rebutted enough to take that point off the table. And when the burden of proof is on the prosecution, if the defense is removing their strongest piece from the board, that counts for something for me. So that's why I'm locking in that way.
Alrighty.
Well, I strongly considered saying not guilty because I really liked Maynard's interpretation of the first 15 minutes, but that's all we got was the first 15 minutes. And ultimately, Marty's right. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is guilty of being a bad movie. Now let's go tell that very grudgesome judge.
Aww.
Ooh, I like that.
He has feelings. Mr. Foreman, have you reached a verdict?
We have, your handsome honor. In the case of the People versus Halloween Resurrection, we find the defendant guilty of being a bad movie.
As Busta Rhymes once rapped, we gonna break ya neck as you fall deep into the hell chasm for the first execution of the season. And say hi to Creature from the Black Lagoon for us as well, because it did not deserve to be sent down to hell just because it was up against Frankenstein. Opens the gate! Court is adjourned.
Hello, everyone. This is Steve Martin, another unfortunately named masked killer, and I'm reporting to you live from outside the Reels of Justice. Marty Ketola, when you're not terrorizing co-eds in their apartment buildings, what are you doing? How do you feel about today's verdict?
Wow. The sins of Jason Takes Manhattan have not been forgotten on this court. And another Part 8 was found guilty. It's great to finally win, even if I was just shooting fish in a barrel today. I mean, gee, what would have happened if I had lost? It might have been something like I'd pull my mask off and just show you that I'm actually the paramedic and that I really like this film. And either way, I win.
Thank you. And here comes Maynard Bangs. I really admire your rope technique. How can we get a word on how you feel about today's verdict?
Disappointed. Obviously, I put up the defense to the first 15 minutes because I do think it's the biggest strength. But as the rest of the film wasn't really attacked, I didn't really feel the need to put much defense up to it, other than the defense of Busta Rhymes. This is not a perfect movie. I think some of the worst things are the casting, especially of the final girl. It should have just been Katie Sackhoff as the main lead. She's the better part of this movie. But I think I can live with this. I'm not sure I would appeals it. It probably does belong in hell. But man, that first 15 minutes slaps.
Well, thank you very much. This is Steve Martin, donning my mask, about to go murder. Let me spin the murder wheel here. And, summer camp. How cliche. Well, let's go back to the studio for post-trial analysis.
That's the girl's name.
Summer camp. Oh, my.
Oh, what a fun case. Marty, do you hate this movie?
It's funny because I picked this one because I was like, I keep coming on and losing because I'm just so earnest and my feelings get in the way with my cases. It's a movie that most people don't like, but I secretly kind of do like. So I can kind of rig the cord a little bit.
In a way, you did kind of lose that.
Mind tricked us.
But if I lost, I still win because I could have said, you let him out. You let him out. You knew it was a bad film and you let it out. And now you have to live with yourselves of the only podcast on the internet that said Halloween Resurrection was a good film.
We've done so much worse.
And I won. But if you appeal it, then I win that way. So it was fun. And I'm glad that we had a really good conversation about it. Like, because you would think maybe it would be a simple, it's just bad because this is boring and this. But Ryan really almost figured out my ruse because he's like, I agree with Marty. But I agree with Rob. But what's going on here? And it's like, yeah, because it's both interesting and it's not interesting, right? Because you would like to see Jamie Lee Curtis do more, but at the same time, it is kind of cool to finally see her get killed in one of these things. So, fun case.
This is definitely one that I would probably consider a bad movie that I enjoy. If I did a Halloween marathon, I think I would find myself watching the first one, H2O, and this one. To me, that would be it.
I have no intention to watch it again.
Actually, I think you need to rewatch the first 15 minutes, the first 15 minutes of Resurrection, and then the last.
No, I hate it just because it undoes stuff. And as you said, it's because Jamie Lee wanted out.
They planned it from the beginning. I challenge Marty's whole people are just making.
No, they didn't plan it from the beginning. They planned that we want to have a sequel from the beginning. They didn't plan Resurrection being like this, reality TV.
That was a pre-existing script. It was a pre-existing script they dropped.
Yeah, I really felt bolted on.
Suggested at. But blame Jamie Lee Curtis. If she could just get over herself, she could have had a whole full Resurrection movie where she was this prepper one, which we had to wait 16 years for. And then it was good when she finally did it. Plus, there were podcasters. Her house is a trap. It's freaking cool.
They will have it staying.
It was cool, but not worth the wait.
I will once again sit through all of the bad Halloween movies, probably several more times through my life. But Marty, what keeps you busy when you're not here? What have you been doing?
Well, Talking Pondo has been going strong. Cliff and me, would that be me and the podcast I do with Cliff where we talk about movies, and it's like a movie swap every week, and we bring on guests and they bring on movies, and we just talk about movies. It's like this show, except not trying to talk about whether it's a piece of shit or not. No, that's not true. We do that too. So I guess it is kind of that.
It's the show plus.
You just don't have the force of the law behind you like we do.
Exactly. Yeah.
But further explain the premise of your podcast, because you have the guests bring on a movie, you guys assign a movie.
That's true. We give the guest 3 movies to pick from, and then the guest gives us 3 movies to pick from. We both pick one from our pool, and those are the movies that we each spend a half hour discussing. And it's been really cool because guests bring us movies that I never would have discovered, and I've seen all sorts of new favorites along the way. So it's been very, very fun.
Yeah, and what about making Pondo? Were you guys bring on filmmakers you've worked with? Is that still going as well?
That format will come back when we make another movie, which will hopefully be next year.
Get on it, Marty. Come on.
We're doing what now?
Get on it.
Get on this next movie.
Crack the whip. I'm busy preparing cases and shit.
Damn it. It's our fault. Yeah. Damn us. But speaking of, I know that your films have all become more available on streaming if people want to check them out.
It is nice. Writing Frenzy, Revenge of Zoe, and Love Song of William H. Shaw. You can find them on Fossum, another one of those made-up names. That's what
I told you guys it was a real service, and none of you believe me.
It's true.
I still don't.
So hard to keep
Actually,
track
I had
of.
Ryan committed to a facility because he kept saying it. So
Yeah, but
And
he
I also-
hit all his medication in his
it's
doll.
very smart.
Yeah.
I also recently added Talking Pondo to IMDb. Apparently, you can put podcasts on IMDb.
Yes, you
so
can.
it's a lot of work. It takes a while, but
Yes.
it does look kind of neat when it's done. So
Yeah, we could put on 6 years episodes, Schlenzo. Get on that.
Do you need a pro account? Can you do it for free?
Yes.
no,
No, you need
you
a
just
pro
go
account.
on and start adding.
You need a pro account. At least
Yeah, you do need a
used
pro.
to, but Schlenzo, you
No,
got the
it's
money.
free
It's like
now,
$20
yeah.
for a month. You're good.
I mean, maybe I will. Actually, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's fun.
Yeah, I have some
We'll
stuff
do
that's
like so every time we do a movie, we'll do under the connection section featured on Reels of Justice. So.
Ooh, cool. Open that up. Now, Marty, we always ask for recommendations from our guests for movies that you think people should see, and now it's Halloween season, so it's a hell on reels. So we'll need a spooky or Halloween or horror type of recommendation.
Well,
So-
I'll go. I'll go adjacent to that. My recommendation for the week, because the director of this movie was Rick Rosenthal,
You're right.
and it's proof that Rick Rosenthal is a good director.
This was
Sure,
good.
you can't go wrong with 1981's Halloween 2, but for a nice change of pace, try his other masterwork, Bad Boys, from 1983. No, not the Will Smith movie, not even a movie where Michael Myers slaps Chris Rock at the Oscars. This Bad Boys is about Mick O'Brien, a young Chicago street thug torn from a life of petty crime and the love of his girlfriend. But when the heist of a local drug dealer goes tragically wrong, as they usually do, Mick is sentenced to a brutal juvenile prison where violence is a rite of passage and respect is measured in vengeance. Blink and you'll miss Jamie Lee Curtis. Streaming on Tubi. It's not
This is the one
exactly
with Sean
horror,
Penn,
but it's
right?
creepy.
Say, Ryan?
This is the one with Sean Penn.
Yeah.
Nice. Blink and you'll miss her seems to be the concept.
Blink, blink,
for
blink, blink,
Jamie
blink,
Lee.
blink, 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 blink.
just can't put in it. Now that's funny though. See, my heckmendation this week also stars Jamie Lee Curtis, but for the entire movie for a change. Way to put in the work just once, girl. It's 1980s prom night. 6 years after a rather uninnocent game leaves a young girl dead, the responsible parties who swore to keep it secret find out they're being stalked one by one by a deranged killer. And did I mention it all happens on prom night? Because it does, hence the title.
Yeah.
Throughout the film, the teenaged girls receive several ominous phone calls from their tormentor, but are unable to distinguish them from the regular harassing phone calls they get on a daily basis. This was, of course, back in an era where if you wanted to send someone an unsolicited dick pic, you still had to buy a stamp. The granddaddy of most of Kevin Williamson's ideas, Re-Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, this cult classic was released 2 years after Jamie Lee was already too old to play a high schooler in Halloween. But the filmmakers balance it out nicely by casting several other 20-somethings as high schoolers as well. Sadly, this results in several scenes that feel less than authentic, because I'm pretty sure the only place women carry out full conversations topless is in the minds of Hollywood filmmakers. But it may make you feel nostalgic for a more innocent time when being mooned by a young girl was somehow supposed to be a bad thing. It also features a... What a prank they did. It also features a somber Leslie Nielsen in the role of Jamie Lee's father / principal / disco king. And of course, I would be remiss if I didn't shout out the undisputed hero of the film, Seymour Crane, a.k.a. Slick, for doing the Lord's work and smashing the stereotypes of frumpy nerds everywhere. I know your van is a rockin' somewhere up there in heaven, buddy. We love you. Prom Night is currently streaming, honestly, fucking everywhere. Turn around. It may be playing right now behind you. But of course, there's no reason you should watch it anywhere else but Tubi.
Yeah! 2 for Tubi.
2 for Tubi. Can we make it 3?
Yes, I got 3 for
Ben?
3B.
Another Jamie Lee Curtis movie on Tubi?
No, for my recommendations this year, I'll be presenting selections from the marathon of films I did last year during the spooky season that focused on non-Japanese, only because I've seen and recommended a slew of those, Asian horror films. Some may be tied to this film discussed, others may not be, but today's strangely is. It's 2018's Gonjiam Haunted Asylum, which comes to us from South Korea. The film is a found footage style horror film that follows a team of ghost hunters that broadcast on something akin to YouTube who break into a notoriously haunted asylum to do an investigation, kind of like that show Ghost Hunters. Back in my day as a ghost hunter, I actually did have the opportunity to investigate in an asylum in Arkansas, not unlike the one depicted in this film, and I definitely enjoyed the film from that perspective. Quinkadinkly, this is also where the film shares a plot beat with Halloween Resurrection, as we come to find out a lot of the scares were actually orchestrated by the team behind the webcams, making you second guess which elements are real and which were faked by the producers. It makes the team lose some credibility in our eyes. So when a supposedly actual haunting starts occurring, we're left examining them in a different light. It's like the film's The Last Exorcism in that way, because the exorcist in that film is a bit of a huckster, but ends up running into a real demon that he's unprepared for. It also does a good job following the mental rules that I have for found footage films by accounting for whose camera is whose, what we're looking at, and who put that camera there, also why it was edited together in the way that it was when we finally get to see it. So yeah, it's also 3 for 3D. Check it out.
And I gotta tell you, you're still in the asylum.
Ryan's doll will guide you out.
But you guys seriously should watch MTV's Fear. I mean, it's one of those great live action. It's a bit like a ghost hunt, but they're amateurs, and it's mostly just about filling their heads with stories, and they freak themselves out. It's a great show.
Yeah, no, it's very much kind of what they were doing in the movie.
Yeah, exactly. It's great. Schlenzo, what have you got for us?
Oh, give it to Ryan first. He was the foreman.
I'm not sure that's actually we never really
Wait,
do
is
that
that
in
the
order.
order?
No, it's not usually how we do it, but screw you.
Random.
Ryan, why don't you give us your perfectly normal, I'm sure, recommendation?
I want to truck him in. More of an experience than a movie. Jaws turned 50 this year. We've all seen it, probably multiple times. It's one of those evergreen masterpieces that makes you jealous of everyone involved and the careers that would follow. No? Just me? Whatever. Anyway, 3 days ago, I had the spooky pleasure of seeing this motion picture projected in 3 dimensions. Now, normally, I'm opposed to stereo post-conversion, but the level of depth and detail in the foreground and the background makes it feel like you're watching the movie the way it was meant to be seen. You're not, but it feels that way. For a film shot on the open ocean, brilliantly photographed by Bill Butler, it's incredibly steady and measured, and it's good because anyone else behind the camera would have you desperately downing some Dramamine. That's a lot of D's. I was surrounded by some loudmouth jackasses in my theater, eventually causing me to uproot to the 3rd row where the experience covered my entire field of vision. Silver linings. Jaws is currently playing nationwide, but by the time you hear this, you can probably buy the outstanding 2D 4K disc or stream it on Peacock like a deadbeat.
Yeah, I hear in the 3D and the IMAX, you can really accentuate that guy's testicle that dangles at the bottom of his shorts.
You're thinking of Demon Fish.
No, it's Jaws. Absolutely.
Maynard knows his dangling testicles. I wouldn't test him on that.
That's right. Schlenzo, what have you got for us? Speaking of dangling testicles.
Well, yes. Anyway, look, I'm as surprised as anyone that I'm actually recommending I Know What You Did Last Summer from 2025. I knew nothing about this going into it. I thought it was just a straight-up reboot for the modern era. But it's not. It's one of those, like, reboot quills, you know? So, like, it's kind of like a requel. I don't know. But the point is, the old-timers show up in it, you know? Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. in it. I'm like, wait, what the hell's going on? You know, I thought this was just a straight-up remake. But it's not, and it follows a lot of the beats of the first movie. And I found it to be pretty interesting. It made some pretty good decisions. The cast is likable enough, though none of them are going to be winning any Oscars anytime soon. The highlight here for me, that was definitely Freddie Prinze Jr. and Jennifer Love Hewitt reprising their roles, coming back, and them having kind of some unspoken history. I mean, spoken a little bit, you know, we don't get to know everything that happened to them in the into the period between these movies, but you know, they've lived some life, some stuff's happened. The twist, you know, who the murderer is, not particularly hard to figure out. They kind of paint themselves into a corner with the suspects really quickly, and you're able to put it all together. And just like how I Know What You Did last summer was late to the party all the way back in the 90s, this one feels really late to the party doing this kind of format coming out in 2025, because there's just not a lot you can do with it anymore. And like, okay, like we've seen this already, you know, like Scream's already done it again, you know, and Halloween's already done it again. And I just don't think I Know What You Did last summer need to do it again. But it goes out on a high note. If they just kind of leave it here, it will be an interesting curio, but they'll almost certainly try to milk it for another one, and we'll see how that goes. I have no idea where it's streaming right now, but if this doesn't end up on Tubi, I will eat yet another one of Ryan's dolls.
Not for many years.
Hey, and it's not just Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. I'm not saying who, but somebody else makes a surprise.
There is. Yeah, that's true. Like there's the appropriate homages and callbacks that you would what do the kids call them? The Easter eggs. You know, they're in there.
Now, so is there like a whole other car accident too?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, well, that's a fucked up coincidence. And it's like, yeah, this same thing happened to us 20 years ago. Wow, how weird.
I'm also going to dress up like the Gorton's fisherman and just go ahead.
But they explain in excruciating detail why everything happened, though. So don't worry. There's not technically a plot hole, but
looking forward to that. So probably a future case. Well, then shouldn't it be I Know What You Did many, many summers ago?
No, because this
it's present day.
Because it's a new accident. Yeah.
It's a new accident, and then the movie takes place 1 year after that new accident. But then Freddie Prinze Jr. comes up and says,
"This happened to us.
Yeah, this happened to us, and you're covering it like he
happens every 20 years, like clockwork. Damn it!
I know. He blows up at a town hall meeting where, like, the mayor, not dissimilar from Jaws, is basically saying, "Oh, don't worry, there's no weird murders and accidents being covered up. That's ridiculous."
Well, now that we've already litigated this movie, there's no need for anyone to bring it into this courtroom.
I mean, I'll see it. I watched the TV show, which was not. It was a whole unrelated thing with like.
Did you watch the third movie?
Stuff.
Well, it's like the Scream TV show too. Yeah,
I didn't see the Scream TV show.
I like the Scream TV show. That's another one I figured out.
I generally don't like, TV shows. I don't know what made me watch that other one. They never end it either. So
yeah, who has time for TV? We have to keep watching movies every week.
How much show do we have, Maynard?
I guess, are we out of show, Ben? Is that what you think? You're sick of us?
So. I think
if
so.
Ben thinks we're out of show, then I guess it is. But we want to thank our guest Marty Ketola for joining us. Thank you so much, Marty.
If they watch Prom Night, they'd save time.
You're absolutely right. Yes, exactly. Prom Night Revisited. I kept thinking of everything J.B. Kennedy kept saying in Scream. Yeah, it's absolutely great. But we hope to have you back, and we'll have you go against Ben. We promise. No matter what the movie is, you and Ben head to head, the Bash Brothers.
As long as that movie is real
for it. Yeah.
It's like the Iron Chef call out. We'll
exactly. You don't know what you did. Ben's our toughest guy.
Yeah,
so he brings
also, Maynard, I have the most cases, not Ben. Just
yeah.
Oh well, Ben has the most good cases. Sorry.
Fair.
A lot of show. Marty will be back, and we hope everyone will join us too as the reels of justice keep turning.
Count it.
Trick or treat, motherfucker!
Please follow us on Twitter at Reels of Justice, Instagram Reels of Justice, and Facebook.com/Reels of Justice.